Raidieraksts Drošinātājs.
Tell me, please, how did your help to the Ukrainians begin? As far as I understand, after the full-scale invasion, you and your friend, your colleague, you both went to the Polish-Ukrainian border and did some work there.
Actually, we started in March of 22 when we saw on the Dutch TV how thousands and thousands of refugees run from Ukraine to Poland. And we saw also that for Poland it was very difficult to feed all those people and to help all those people. And as my job is to work with food trucks, I decided together with my friend Coen to go for a one-time trip to the Polish-Ukrainian border to give away free fries and snacks. Only that one time when we were there, we saw the situation and we felt more and more for the people who came into over the border into Poland. And we decided to go a second time and a third time. And that's actually how it started at the Polish-Ukrainian border.
So you just, why did you went there? You just saw the news and saw the whole chaos and you understood that you have something to offer in terms of helping others? Why exactly?
Yeah, we have something what not everybody has. We have food trucks. And we have the experience. And we saw that people were giving away food on a very small scale, and we can serve 2,000 persons per day from our food truck. So we thought we can really do something extra to help. And yeah, it was not a difficult decision because we had the food truck standing still, we had the time, and we had the possibility. So that's how it started. We never thought that it will grow in something much more big, and we never thought that it will be a almost full-time work for us in the future. We never thought that.
You and Coen, as far as I understand, have known each other for 25 years, and you are both entrepreneurs. So how did you get to know each other, met each other, and what exactly is your business? Maybe tell me more about this.
Well, actually, in the time when I met Coen, it was actually a very funny story because we were both selling products on weekly markets and on festivals. And in that time, it was around St. Nicholas, and that's the time in the Netherlands that people give presents to children. I was selling the smallest remote control car in the world. And I thought that I was the only person in the Netherlands selling that. So when I was on a market selling this very small remote control cars, there were customers who said, well, here they sell the same cars like there. And I was completely surprised because I thought I'm the only one selling that. So I went to see, and there was Coen, and he was very fanatically selling the same product like I was selling. So we started to talk to each other, and he asked me, where do you buy those? So I said to him, well, I buy them in Frankfurt, which is about 600-700 kilometers from where we live, in a Chinese area. So the next day, Coen called me and said, I can't find them. And I had to say to him, I'm sorry, Coen, I don't buy them there. I buy them near Paris in Aubervilliers. So he went also to Aubervilliers, and I felt really sorry for him because I sent him to the completely wrong direction the first time. But he was competition. He was not a friend. And I thought, why shall I help this stranger in buying the product, which is direct competition to what I do? So that's how it started. And then slowly we started working together. We bought together the products. We went to China very often to import different kind of goods. And that's how our friendship started. And indeed, more than 25 years ago.
And then you switched to French fries. Yes.
Yes, kind of. There were many different products in between. But since about, I think, 9 years or something, I have a fish and chips restaurant, and he has a snack bar, and we do again kind of in the same business, only not in the same area, so we don't have competition from each other. So and my main business was the food trucks. So in the summertime, I work with the food trucks both in the Netherlands and in Germany, and that's how I get my income.
At that time, at the border in 2022, what did you saw in terms of other volunteers maybe helping? Were there any kind of similar volunteers as well, like you with some kind of trucks and food assistance? How did it look at that time?
There were many people helping, many people, and not only from Poland, but also from Germany, also from Austria, even somebody from Korea was helping out there. But most of them did not have the experience to give out a lot of food at one day. So most of them were really with good heart and they did all their best. But professional food trucks, I think in the first two trips, we didn't see them. Afterwards, there came more and more help. And that's also why we decided to go over the border and see how it is on the Ukrainian side. Actually, when we started working on the Ukrainian side, it was maybe 20 kilometers from where we were working on the Polish side. But of course, it was a different atmosphere. It was in Ukraine, the country in war, and there were a lot of people, and there was less help than on the Polish side. So our help there was even more needed than in Poland.
How hard it was to get inside Ukraine, because I guess it was there could be some obstacles, and there still are to get inside.
There were not so many problems to get in there. The main thing was that we were scared. We have no experience with war or countries in war, but actually on the west side of Ukraine, it was not so intensive, and so technically it was very much doable. For us, the biggest complication was financially, because we started with our own money, and we're not rich, so we needed to find sponsors, and that was the most complicated thing. But we found a company who delivers snacks, and we got some donations from people, so we had the chance to do our work. But technically, going into Ukraine was not so difficult. And finding a place where it is very good to help people was also not so difficult. But that was on the west side of Ukraine. When we were a little bit later, we go to the middle of Ukraine, where the Russians just were kicked out, I can say. It was Irpin, Bucha, Borodyanka, Gostomel, near to Kiev. And that was the first time that we saw what war does, because that's the first time that we saw destruction. And when we went there in the beginning, it still was not cleaned up. So you saw everywhere the tanks. You saw really as if it happened yesterday, and that was kind of scary for us, because once again we have no experience. We're not military. We never had to do anything war related in history. So yeah, there were some complications, but it was more financially and in our head, because we did not have the experience.
You also started to speak about how this whole thing evolved, so maybe you can go more in detail. So tell me what exactly is that you are currently doing. As I understand, there, besides this food, there's also other things as well. So to what has this evolved right now?
Everything changed in time, because firstly, we got more and more attached to Ukraine and to the people who we met, because we felt really for them. And you see how people are hurt, how they are very unhappy, very sad, and what problems they had. So we saw that giving away fries is not enough. So more and more we started to help people in a different way. Like sometimes we repaired somebody's roof, and the house got damaged by explosion. But the thing was, because we got into the news in the Netherlands and we got more followers online, we had also more options, because we got more donations. So we could help people in many different ways. So if you look at the situation right now, we have a refugee house, a shelter. We have a shelter for animals. We evacuate people from the front with our armored cars. So it has developed in many, many different ways, because every time when we were doing something came on our path. We saw something and we said to each other, well, can we do something here to help? And when it was possible, we started doing that as well. In the Netherlands, we got very well known already quite early during the war because newspapers and TV followed our work in Ukraine. But in June 23, we got ourselves almost killed when we were inside a building which got attacked by a Iskander rocket. And about over 60 people got wounded and 14 got killed by this Iskander rocket which exploded. And we were extremely lucky because exactly where we were sitting was the only place in the building where the roof didn't come down. So much luck as we had, it's unbelievable. In the table beside us, there was a lady, and this lady, she got killed. And the people who were serving us that day, were helping us that day, also got killed. 14 people. And this building was hit, and it's on purpose. It's Iskander rocket, and Iskander rockets come very near to where they aim. It's not like a Shahed, which can get by mistake to a different location. We were extremely lucky. And of course, this was a terrible day. And it was extremely bad. But it also made us very well known in the Netherlands because it was on TV, on every channel, and we had to go to talk shows and everything. Since then, we have financially more possibilities to work, and we that's what we do now. So we do many different kind of work. We get the people from the front with our armored car. And we help people with food. We do every 3 weeks, roughly every 3 weeks, we have a full truck load with all kind of goods to help people out. Last year we did over 1,000 generators. So wherever we can help, we do that. And we have that possibility because we have a lot of followers and people like to support us. We show in our TV series, every Saturday, there's a new episode on one of the biggest channels in the Netherlands, RTL4, and people can see what we do in Ukraine. And that's week after week on Dutch national TV. That helps us out.
And these, the trucks and all the deliveries, you do it two of yourselves, or do you have more people now, or partners, or how this practically is happening?
Yeah, we have more people now who work together with us. We have some volunteers in the Netherlands who help us out whenever there's an event, like our open days in our location, or when we fry fries in the Netherlands to collect money. But we have, of course, also in Ukraine, people working with us. We have a director in our Holland House. The Holland House is how we called our refugee shelter. And we have several employees. We have a cook there. We have... I think we have about 12 people in Ukraine working kind of full time with us. But also in the Netherlands, all the goods that we collect, they go to another organization and they make a selection. These goods are okay for sending to Ukraine, but also for the clothing, for example. Children's clothes, it's selected differently from clothing for adults and so on. So this is an organization we work together with also. And when everything is nicely sorted, then we send it to Ukraine with full trucks.
And how often you and Coen go to Ukraine? Every other week or once in a month or yeah?
It's something like this. We are average 4 weeks in the Netherlands, and then we are 3 weeks in Ukraine, and then 4 weeks again in the Netherlands, 3 weeks Ukraine. So we are something like 40% of our time we are in Ukraine. But when we're in the Netherlands, we're full-time working for our foundation. It's like 80 hours per week job. So we're very busy at any time with helping Ukraine.
And if we speak specifically about food distribution, of course, as you mentioned, you also went to the central part of the Ukraine, but also near to the front cities as well. So maybe how does this environment, situation, and need for this kind of help changes between, the center of the Ukraine and the frontline cities. Maybe as I understand, you also went to the Kramatorsk and delivered food there and other cities. So maybe you can tell the difference. Maybe
nowadays we only work near the front. Our base is in Dnipro, which is about 90 kilometers from the zero line. But from there we work only near the front. So yes, Kramatorsk, but we did evacuations in Mirnograd. We did at that time it was something like 2 kilometers from the Russian side. So nowadays we work only near the front. We do Kherson, we do Zaporozhye, Dnipro, Kramatorsk. Yeah, so that's our working area. The thing is that some kind of work, what we do, we can't do very near to the zero line. Like evacuations, we're willing to take a higher risk. Because when you evacuate a family with 4 children, it's worth to take a risk. But frying fries, we're not going to do that near anymore because the situation has changed completely. In 2022 or 2023, we worked in Liman and we were just 3 kilometers from the Russians. It was not a problem because you had 2 military standing, they were looking into the air, and when they saw a drone, they gave you about 7 minutes to pack your things because whenever the Russians would plan to attack us, they needed about 10 minutes to make the artillery hit the location where you are. Nowadays, it's completely different because there's drones everywhere. And so the kill zone, which was at that time, you can say something like 10, 12 kilometers, now it's actually maybe 30 kilometers or even more because drones, they reach 30, 40 kilometers. And now you have the optical wire drones. They even go up to 60 kilometers. So even at 40 kilometers, you can get hit by an optical fiber drone. And as we are frying fries, we also have gas on board. So if we have a few hundred people in front of our stand and they would hit our food truck, it is very, very dangerous. So nowadays we work a little bit further from the drone, from the front with our food truck, let's say 40 kilometers, and we work shorter periods. So we do not do what we did before sometimes, an 8-hour job. So not 8 hours on the same time, same place. It's just not possible anymore. A lot of things have changed. It is completely different war with what it was before.
So you need to adapt to this, yeah.
You need to adapt, but I'm also much more afraid. There was a time when we almost worked for the adrenaline. We did several things and everything worked well, and you take more risk and more risk and more risk. But in October last year, 23 October, we lost our very, very best friends with a drone attack. They were journalists and they worked together with us every day when we are in Ukraine. And also when we are in Netherlands, we had very intensive contact. And they got killed by a drone attack. And the drone was really waiting for them. It was a Lancet drone, which is a very expensive drone. And there were several other people at the location, like military. It didn't hit. It waited for Alyona and Zhenya before it went down, and it killed them. We lost more people, and that also makes us think differently and work differently than before. We're not taking the extreme high risks anymore if there's not something really, really big to achieve. And the father of Zhenya, who got killed with the drone, is working for us full time. He is the director of our Holland house. And so we were really, really very close. And that changed a little bit our way of working. We're more afraid now. We still take the risks, but it has to be really something big to achieve. So for getting people from the front, we still take the high risk, but not for frying fries.
So maybe you can tell what kind of safety measures do you take? I don't know if you maybe if you're giving fries at Zaporizhia, you're just, it looks like I don't know, normal food truck and French fried giveaway, But if you evacuating people, I guess there are bulletproof vests and other things. So what are those safety measures, maybe?
Yeah, some of the safety measures I can tell, no problem. Of course, we have armored car. That makes some difference. But if you get a direct hit with a drone, you still have very small chance to get out it unharmed. We have the jammer on top of the car, which can jam the non-optic fiber wire drones. We are very often with people who are armored. We officially are not allowed to arm ourselves with guns. We have special guns which shoot nets. So if a drone attacks us, you can shoot the net. But it's very complicated, very difficult. We had training with that, but still very difficult. And yes, like this, we take measurements. Also, the location where we fry fries, for example, we select that very differently now. We will not have hundreds and hundreds of people at our food truck in an open square or something. There are many things what you can do, but the best thing what you can do is make sure that you have the right people with you who have the shotguns against the drones, because drones is by far our highest risk.
Giving fries and doing other help, evacuations and so on, how needed is your help in Ukraine? What kind of also feedback do you maybe receive from your work? Yes.
The giving away food is of course something small, because you give just one portion of fries, French fries and snacks, but it touches a lot of people in one day. Because, for example, if you serve 1,000 people, then you have 1,000 people who feel support. So maybe it's not the big thing, but they feel the support from the Netherlands, because for them, we're from the Netherlands, so it feels like support from the Netherlands. And we see there a lot of very, very happy people that we do that. We see the response. It's really, it's very nice. It's very, very positive. By evacuating people, yes, of course, they are happy. Very often people stay too long at a location near the front because they are afraid to move. They don't know what the future brings when they go away. And at home, they feel themselves at home. So the people that we evacuate are actually the people who are too late to evacuate themselves. So in the moment that we take them away, they have no chance themselves anymore to get out. When we evacuate these people, then you see that they are very afraid. But already the next day, they are very, very happy that they got evacuated. And they don't understand already after one day why they stayed so long on their location. And yeah, from these people, we got a very, very, very beautiful response. They're very emotional every time when they see us. If we help the animals, yeah, from the animals, I don't know what response we get, because they are afraid when we take them away. But I'm sure they have a happier life wherever we bring them, because we really feel very bad also for the animals. There's so many street dogs and cats, and they are also in the war zone. Yeah, to get them out is also very, very beautiful. Yeah, I think we get a lot of response. And one thing which we think is very important what we do is bring the awareness to people. Like in the Netherlands, we have our TV series, and people see not from what we heard somewhere, but from what we really saw ourselves. It's our eyes, so it's we on that location, and people see what we see. So we bring awareness, which is very important. And this is also why we are very happy to join you in explaining what we do and why we do this.
Yeah, about awareness, we will speak a little bit later as well. I would also like to ask about the financing thing of all of this. So is it all donations, or is it also your personal money, you and your partners and other volunteers? So how is this hard, and how is this possible, maybe also financially, to do all this that you do?
In the beginning, it was our own financial what made this possible. But that was maybe the first 3 trips when we went to the Polish border. We could never do that for a very, very long time. Once again, we are not rich. But after that, when we got in the news, we got more and more followers. We have about 140,000 followers in the Netherlands. We're not such a big country, so we have quite a lot of followers for such a small country. And many of those people, they donate. We have a newsletter which we give away every week, and very often people think, hey, this is something beautiful, I want to help with this. We always show in video what's the result of what we did. So from that side, we get a lot of support. And we have very small subsidy from our government, which is once a year. So that covers maybe 5% of our total cost. But still, it helps a lot.
giving fries and doing other help, evacuations and so on. How needed is your help in Ukraine? What kind of also feedback do you maybe receive from your work?
Yes, it is more than full time. I think we do about 80 hours a week. And you were just asking about the finance. This is kind of a finance which we put in it, because when I'm working for the organization, I cannot be in my snack bar, in my food truck. So I have to pay somebody to work. But this I don't feel, because the business is going quite okay. But in hours, yes, I think it's about 80 hours average. 1 week it's a little bit less. But when we are in Ukraine, it's from early in the morning till deep into the night. And in the Netherlands also, we organize events also to collect money. We are very often asked to give lectures to military, to other organizations, to companies. So if you count this all together, yes, it's much more than a full-time job. And we're getting tired of it, but not as tired as the soldiers who are on the front, and not as tired as a mama who has a daughter and has to go out of the bed 4 times a night because of the air raid alert. So we don't consider it like it's heavy or it's difficult, because we see the difference with other people who have much more difficulties with this than us.
If we speak about volunteering and helping Ukraine, it usually we hear in our interviews speaking with volunteers that it takes almost all of the time or the whole time of their daily lives. But I guess it's also leaves some kind of emotional mark, I guess, as well. Of course, there are those positive emotions, but there are those maybe hard emotions, about, you mentioned also this being afraid of all of this, that's one thing, and maybe also hearing some stories or seeing some things. So maybe you can tell how emotionally good and bad at the same time you feel, and is it mostly good? Is it mostly not that good emotionally? How is this work in this aspect?
If you would ask this me a half year ago, the answer would be different. Half year ago, I had no problem sleeping. I had not such big stress, because we always decide ourselves what we do or don't. So if we felt bad about something, or we thought it's too dangerous, we didn't do it. But after we lost people, and after some terrible things we've seen, we've been several times to near to the front, to the stabilization center where the wounded soldiers come in. Of course, this makes life a little bit more complicated. And from one side, you feel very happy that we have the freedom in our country. We don't have war, but you take it with you at home. And I always thought that I was so strong that it will not be a problem for me. But since a few months, I have trouble sleeping. I think about it not only in a positive way, but also in a negative way. The difficulty sleeping is, I can explain what I see. Our best friend got killed by a drone attack, and I saw before hundreds of videos on YouTube or TikTok, I don't know, from people who got attacked by a drone. And then you see their last seconds. You see that they understand that they're going to be killed by the drone at that moment. I see their faces, and I see them at night. I see them now very often, but with the faces of our friends. And this wakes me up at least 10 times every night. So at this moment, yes, it is. It's not easy mentally, but I hope I grow over that, because time heals wounds, I hope. But yes, by seeing a lot and experiencing these things, yes, you cannot put it aside completely, I think.
Is it possible to teleport these emotions and all this from Ukraine, express them and tell them to people in Netherlands? Of course, they see maybe the news, the videos, the photos and so on, but Many say that you can understand it only when you have been there and when you have been in Ukraine. So what would you tell how hard it is to explain what is happening in Ukraine to some people? Maybe in Netherlands, I guess not every person is understanding and understands what happens there.
That's absolutely true. Not everybody is understanding the situation. And like 2 years ago, I think that about 98% of the people in the Netherlands were behind Ukraine. But at this time, because all the false information coming from Russian side, it's maybe 90%. So about 10% is not even behind Ukraine. That is complicated because all of the Russian propaganda. I think it's anyway impossible to explain if you didn't experience some of these things yourself. I have the best person to talk to is my colleague Coen, because we had the same situations. We have very good possibilities to talk with Ukrainian soldiers and people in Ukraine near to the front. We understand each other very easy. No, I think some parts are just not possible to explain. Not even to people who are very much understanding. They still don't understand. They also don't understand why you make certain decisions on certain moments. If you ask if you tell in the Netherlands or they see a video from us, some people don't want to leave their location near the front. They don't understand it, and they say, if war would happen here, I would directly go away when it gets dangerous. But that's not how it works in reality. In reality, it's actually what we call the boiling frog syndrome. If you have a frog, you put it in the water, you put the temperature up, the frog likes it, it stays. When the temperature goes more up, the frog every time accepts the situation and sees it like a new normal situation until it's too late. And a lot of Ukrainian people, they are on a location and they build their home themselves or the parents, and they stay there a long time. And every time the situation changes, they say, not yet, I'm not leaving yet. And then on one moment they wake up and it's too late. You can't explain that to people here because they are thinking from their realistic situation. But it's not the same realistic situation which is in Ukraine for these people who don't want to leave. And this is with many things. How can I explain average people that we go to the front area in Ukraine? They don't understand. And when they seen that we have been shot at, we had to hide for drones several times. We had the bombing with the Iskander rocket. So they really don't understand that we're still doing what we're doing. But in reality, when you are in a situation, you adopt the situation as it is. And every time you adopt a little bit more extreme situation. Some things which were very scaring for me, let's say 4 years ago, I'm not worried about anymore because I'm used to it. And that you can't explain. And the stress you have, you can also not explain. It's just not possible. It's not possible to people who have not been in a similar situation. Impossible.
How would you describe the current level of support for Ukraine in your country? Do people think about Ukraine? Are they interested in what is happening there? From I'm not asking some percentage or things like that, but from what you see and
yes, people are supporting Ukraine in most cases. They are behind Ukraine. The problem is with the younger generation that they don't know what is realistically the truth, because they get their information not from serious news programs, but they get the information from TikTok, I don't know, but social media. And there's a lot of incorrect information. One thing what I think is a big problem here in the Netherlands, and probably it's not the same in your country, because when we see, let's say something happened in Kiev, they bombed a house, 20 people got killed, including some children. If you see that on Dutch TV, you know what you see? You see a building which is damaged and you see some blue lights from police or from an ambulance. If I saw the same news in Poland, then you will hear the screaming of the people, you will see the blood. And I think this is very important because that makes the war really how it is visible for people. I understand that the Dutch news says, well, if we show too much blood, people go to another channel. they don't want to see it. But this is what happens. And if you want to tell the news, you really have to show the news as it is. And probably in your country, because you're more involved, you're more near to Russia, maybe in your country, they show it much better than here. Here, they don't show it. And what I really don't understand is that when today is in the news, 20 people got killed here and there, they forget the 1,000 something which are killed or wounded near the front. I think that in every news message, this should be, okay, 20 people got killed in Kiev with a bombing. But tell also that near the front, get 1,000 people killed or wounded every day. People don't realize that. They read the news, 2 people got killed yesterday in Odessa. And they think, which is terrible and which is a lot. But they think this is the whole war. I was in a wholesale company buying snacks for my own shop. And there came somebody to me and said, hey, I know you're from TV. Are you still going to Ukraine? Yeah, still going to Ukraine. But there's just a little bit war now, huh? This was really how he was thinking because of what he sees in the media.
Yeah, so I guess it's one side of this story that we hear for a long time now, that not everyone, but there is a part in Ukraine as well, in the West as well, who are tired of the war, and it has unfortunately become like this new normal situation, so that the news amount of the news has decreased and awareness has decreased. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing is also that there's a lot going on in this world right now. So it's just too much for the people to handle and to follow everything. And also the news channels have to choose what will they show tonight in their news program or what will they write in the newspaper. It's too much. And that's why the only war in Europe, which I think is the main topic here, should be the main topic here every day, is getting somewhere small and lower in the newspaper than it should be. It's more important who becomes champion with football in the Netherlands than that 1,100 people got wounded or killed today in Ukraine. And that's very bad.
And speaking about being tired of war, we hear that also number of donations is decreasing, and that is the problem also here in Latvia. But maybe you have some opinion and some observations about volunteers. Have you noticed maybe that the number of volunteers also is decreasing in Netherlands? Maybe it's harder to I don't know, find some partners, volunteers to do some things, or how do you see this?
This is true, and for many reasons, because some organizations who are working very fanatically, for example, sending goods to Ukraine, firstly, it's less in the news. Secondly, motivation for the people to give goods is less. And third, the transport cost is almost double. When we paid 2,500 for a full truckload 3-4 months ago, last full truckload, we paid 5,800 euro only to get the goods to the other side. So this also is a reason for a lot of organizations to stop. Actually, in the east of the country, we did not see so many volunteers, also not before. Much more than now. But Kharkiv, Dnipro, there still you see the volunteers. But if you go then more east, more to the front, we almost didn't see them. Most volunteers there are Ukrainian, or it is maybe international organization, but they still let the Ukrainian people do the hard work. But it's less, it's absolutely less. And it's very difficult to make people understand that this help is needed because they're getting used to it. What they don't understand is that it's really so that, like in Ukraine, people did not expect the full-scale invasion, most of the people. And here we have the same situation. People here think, they take the freedom and the situation for granted. They don't understand that this can change here also from one day on the other. And they're not worried because they have food, They can go on a holiday twice a year, and they can drive their car. So why should they care too much? That is really, I think, how many people think.
One of the main things that you are trying to achieve is awareness in Netherlands. So how would you say how successful you are in this? And I guess if you also mentioned that you receive some kind of assistance from the government as well, then you have achieved at least some kind of level of, awareness and and I don't know, like, thank you for that what you do and so on.
Yes, we see that not only because we have subsidy from the Dutch government, but we see it also from the Ukrainian side. We get a lot of support, and they always want to help us, and they even ask us information sometimes. So also the Ukrainian side is very much aware of what we do, and that gives us the knowledge that we know that they are really happy with what we do. So that's another reason to continue. But the main reason for us is, of course, try to help as much as possible the people in Ukraine, because they really need support. They need support from the Netherlands. They need the support from Latvia. They need the support from every possibility, from every country as far as possible. They need the support. That's the only way also to in the end, to survive and to win.
How would you describe this current level of support which is received by Ukraine from the government of Netherlands? We know many different kinds of packages or announcements, but where do you see maybe pluses, and then are there minuses as well in terms of Netherlands helping Ukraine as a country?
I think support from the Dutch government is very well. It's also very well known by the Ukrainian side, and it's actually from the beginning until now. And although we have a change of government, kind of, it's still very pro-Ukraine. And yeah, I know that the Ukrainians know this, but I really think that the Netherlands is doing a lot for Ukraine. It started with the Patriot rockets. These were at that time very, very, and still very important for Ukraine. A lot of financial went to Ukraine, and also a lot of private initiatives to help Ukraine. But yes, the Dutch government is very much pro-Ukraine and really wants to help. And we hope it stays like that. Of course, we have some parties who are against it, but luckily they are not the ones to decide at this moment.
When we speak with Ukrainians as well in our podcasts, we also we always speak that it's impossible to make any future plans right now when the war is going on. But I want to ask: is there any kinds of goals for you and for your colleagues to expand somehow this assistance, or change something to do more or do less, but more effective? What do you see? Maybe this upcoming year, how would you work?
Yeah, we want to do, of course, more and more and more, and that's depending on, for a big part, on the financial situation and on the situation in Ukraine, what is needed. We have some plans for the next trip, but for security reasons, we do never tell upfront our plans. But we have a few very interesting things coming up, which can really make a difference. We're also busy now with the second Holland House. The Holland House is our shelter for refugees, and we're going to open a new one in the western side of Ukraine, which is a little bit bigger, and where also people are allowed to stay longer. That is one of the bigger plans we have. And further on, we continue with all those small plans that we have, like we had all the time. We have a lot of projects coming up and projects ongoing, and we want to keep them. We just hope that soon it's not necessary anymore. That would be the best. And to be honest, I also have some belief in that this can't go on and on and on. And I don't see Russia making a lot of progress. So I hope that at some moment there will be a result, at least of a ceasefire, continuously ceasefire, or hopefully just some deal. I would, of course, I'm 100% for Russia to leave that country completely. I don't know if that's going to happen, but then at least I hope that there will be some deal between those countries and that the killing will stop.
Do Ukrainians with who you speak maybe daily share this opinion, or are they more like pessimistic maybe about what's coming next? What can you say about this?
Firstly, it depends a lot on who you ask about what people want, because a lot of people don't want to give in for the territory. But if you ask the mother of a son who is in the army, you get a completely different answer from somebody who's living in the western side of Ukraine, in Lviv, for example, who doesn't feel too much from the war. And if you go to look at the military, there's a difference between military who have chosen the military, so the professionals who have a lot of training and they have belief. Or if you ask a soldier who had to go to the army, who has not so much experience and is now working in the front, they have completely different opinions. Even to very high-ranked military, which we spoke, and they were talking about really high-ranked military, those also both had a different opinion. So one said the war will be ended before the summer. Oh, then they have to be quick. And the other one said, I see this ongoing for years. So it's so difficult. It's so difficult. It's more hope than thoughts, maybe. I hope that the war ends soon.
Well, let's hope for the better, and I wish you all the luck and all the best with your assistance to Ukrainians. I guess it's very much needed there in Ukraine, and as much as it's needed to tell what is happening there for the people in your country, because there's need to be ongoing support also from Netherlands as well, of course.
Yes, we agree completely, and thank you very much. And if people would like to know a little bit more about what we do, we have a website. So I don't know if you want to mention it, but people are always more than welcome to see what we do and leave their opinions, or maybe they have good ideas for us. More than welcome.
Raidieraksts Drošinātājs.